What if there was a way to manifest your desires so quickly it feels almost supernatural, a technique so rare only a few truly understand its power? Today we uncover a hidden gem from Neville Goddard, the legendary teacher of manifestation and the law of assumption. His teachings have transformed countless lives, and this one technique has the potential to change yours too, if you're ready for it. Neville Goddard believed that the key to shaping your reality lies in your assumptions. But there's one specific method he taught that takes this idea to another level. A way to align your mind and emotions so perfectly with your desires that they materialize faster than you ever imagined. In this video, you will learn step by step how to use this rare technique, uncover the subtle details that make it so powerful, and hear stories of how others have used it to achieve extraordinary results. We'll also reveal common mistakes people make when trying to manifest, so you can avoid the traps that hold so many back. Stay with us until the end, because we'll share the final, crucial piece of this puzzle. The one thing that ensures your manifestations don't just appear, but stay a part of your life. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to manifest effortlessly, while others struggle, this is the missing link. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge to apply this technique to your own life and see results that might just leave you speechless. Welcome to Limitless Mindset, your go-to channel for unlocking the potential of your mind. Don't forget to subscribe and join us as we dive deep into the art of manifestation. Let's get started. Before we talk about the rare technique Neville Goddard shared, it's important to understand the foundation it's built on, the law of assumption. This concept is simple yet profound. What you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, becomes your reality. In other words, your life reflects the beliefs and assumptions you hold in your mind. Think about it. Every thought you entertain, every belief you accept, creates a ripple effect. These ripples influence your emotions, decisions, and ultimately, the reality you live in. For example, if you assume that success comes easily to you, your mind will naturally guide you to opportunities, actions, and circumstances that align with that belief. On the other hand, if you assume life is a constant struggle, that belief will shape your reality too, leading you to experience obstacles and setbacks more often than not. Neville Goddard emphasized that assumptions are not just fleeting thoughts. They are deeply rooted impressions in your subconscious mind. The subconscious doesn't question whether something is true or false. It simply accepts what you feed it and works tirelessly to bring those assumptions to life. This is why people often say, "Your thoughts create your reality." But Neville went deeper. He taught that it's not just about thoughts, it's about assuming the feeling of your desire already fulfilled. When you adopt a belief or assumption, your mind begins to filter the world through that lens. You start noticing opportunities, ideas, and even people that align with your assumption. This is why two people can look at the same situation and see completely different things, because their beliefs shape how they interpret reality. For example, let's say two people want to start a business. One assumes it's possible and that they will succeed. They feel confident and take bold steps forward. The other assumes it's too hard or risky and feels hesitant, which stops them from even trying. The outcomes for these two individuals will likely reflect their assumptions. Understanding this law is key, because it gives you the power to take control of your life. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you can become the creator of your reality by changing the beliefs and assumptions you hold. This is what makes the law of assumption so powerful. It puts the power back into your hands. Before we talk about how this rare technique works, let's take a moment to appreciate why it's so unique. Neville Goddard's teachings often focused on the power of the imagination, but this particular method takes it a step further. It's not just about visualizing what you want. It's about aligning your entire being, your mind, emotions, and beliefs, with the reality you wish to create. When practiced correctly, it has the potential to accelerate your manifestations in ways that feel almost magical. The first step is relaxation. To access the deeper levels of your mind, where this technique works best, you need to calm both your body and your thoughts. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit or lie down comfortably, close your eyes, and take slow, deep breaths. Feel your muscles relax, and let any tension melt away. This relaxed state allows you to bypass the critical, questioning part of your mind and tap into your subconscious. Next comes visualization. With your eyes closed, create a vivid mental picture of your desire, as if it's already a part of your life. Imagine every detail, the sights, sounds, and even the smells of that reality. For example, if you're manifesting a new job, visualize yourself sitting at your dream desk, speaking confidently to colleagues, and feeling fulfilled. The clearer and more detailed your visualization, the more real it becomes to your subconscious mind. But visualization alone isn't enough. This is where emotional involvement comes in. As you visualize, allow yourself to feel the emotions that come with your desire being fulfilled. Joy, excitement, gratitude. Whatever emotions you would naturally feel in that moment, let them fill your entire being. This emotional charge is what gives the visualization its power, imprinting it deeply into your subconscious. Now, here's the key step: assumption. You must firmly accept that what you visualized is already true. Not that it will happen someday, but that it's happening now. This shift in mindset is crucial because the subconscious mind responds to what you believe is real. Your problem is, you believe the worst. Finally, detachment. Once you've assumed the reality of your desire, let it go. This doesn't mean you stop believing in it. It means you release any worry or need to control how it will manifest. Trust the process. The universe, or your subconscious mind, will align circumstances to bring your assumption into reality. Each step builds on the previous one, creating a seamless process that transforms your inner world and your outer reality. Before we talk about how you can apply this technique to your own life, let's look at some remarkable stories from people who have used it successfully. These real-life examples show not only the power of Neville Goddard's method, but also how quickly it can transform your reality when practiced correctly. The first is that of Andrew Shiner, the lover of Julie Gray. The second is that of Richard Dahmer. One individual shared how they used this technique to manifest their dream job. They were stuck in a job they didn't enjoy and couldn't see a way out. Following Neville's steps, they took time each night to relax deeply and visualize themselves in a new, fulfilling position. They imagined walking into the office of their dreams, feeling excited and accomplished. They didn't just see it, they felt it. Within weeks, they were unexpectedly approached by a recruiter offering a role that matched their vision almost perfectly. Another story comes from someone who wanted to improve their financial situation. They were drowning in debt and felt hopeless about their future. Instead of focusing on their struggles, they began visualizing themselves living a life of abundance. They imagined the feeling of financial freedom, the joy of paying off bills effortlessly, and the peace of mind that came with it. They assumed this new reality was already true. Within a short period, they received an unexpected windfall that cleared their debts and opened new opportunities for income. One particularly striking example involves a woman who wanted to heal a strained relationship with a family member. She practiced this technique by visualizing heartfelt conversations and imagining the joy of reconciliation. She felt the love and harmony as if it were already present. To her amazement, the family member reached out after years of silence, and they began rebuilding their bond almost immediately. So, these stories share a common thread: the speed and precision of the results. While some might call it coincidence, those who have experienced it know there's more at play. They all followed the steps: relaxation, visualization, emotional involvement, assumption and detachment, and trusted the process. What stands out in these testimonials is how this method not only brings desires to life, but often does so in ways that seem effortless and even unexpected. It's not about forcing things to happen. It's about aligning your inner world so that the outer world naturally reflects it. These successes prove that when practiced consistently, this technique has the potential to work wonders. Before we talk about how to make this technique a part of your daily life, let's address some common pitfalls that can block your progress. Even though Neville Goddard's method is simple and effective, there are certain mistakes people make that can weaken its impact. Understanding these challenges and knowing how to avoid them will ensure your practice remains powerful and consistent. One of the most common pitfalls is doubting the process. When results don't appear immediately, it's easy to feel frustrated or skeptical. This doubt creates resistance in your mind, making it harder for your desires to manifest. Remember, the law of assumption works like planting a seed. You wouldn't dig up a seed every day to check if it's growing, right? The same applies here. Trust the process and give it time. Consistency is key. Another mistake is the lack of emotional involvement. Visualization without emotion is like painting without color. It lacks vibrancy and life. Some people go through the motions of imagining their desires, but fail to connect emotionally with their vision. Without the feeling of joy, gratitude, or excitement, the subconscious mind doesn't fully register your assumption as real. To avoid this, focus on immersing yourself in the emotions tied to your desire. Feel it deeply, as if it's happening now. A third challenge is treating the technique as a chore rather than a joyful practice. When you approach it with a sense of obligation, your energy becomes rigid and the process loses its magic. Instead, think of it as a creative exercise, a chance to shape your future in a playful and empowering way. Make it something you look forward to, not something you force yourself to do. To maintain faith and consistency, create a routine that works for you. Set aside time each day to relax, visualize, and connect with your desires. Morning and evening are often ideal because your mind is naturally more receptive during these times. Surround yourself with positive influences, such as books, videos, or communities that support manifestation. This keeps your energy aligned and reinforces your belief in the process. Lastly, avoid overthinking or obsessing about the how. Your job is to assume the end result, not to micromanage the details. Let go of the need to control every step and trust that the path will unfold in the best possible way. By staying consistent, emotionally engaged, and free of doubt, you'll create the space for your desires to flow effortlessly into your life. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've explored today. The law of assumption is a powerful principle that puts the creative power of your life in your hands. It's not just about wishing or hoping. It's about aligning your beliefs, emotions, and assumptions with the reality you want to create. Neville Goddard's rare technique takes this concept to a whole new level. By following the steps of relaxation, visualization, emotional involvement, assumption, and detachment, you can accelerate the manifestation of your desires in ways that feel almost effortless. This is not just theory. Countless people have shared incredible success stories that prove the effectiveness of this method. Now it's your turn. Practice this technique with faith and consistency. Make it a part of your daily life and watch as your inner transformation creates remarkable changes in your outer world. Remember, it's about trusting the process and allowing your desires to flow to you naturally. Your creativity and liberation. If you found this video helpful or inspiring, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, experiences, or even your success stories in the comments below. Let's build a community of like-minded individuals who are ready to take control of their lives. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Limitless Mindset for more insights on manifestation and personal growth. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next video. Keep creating your dream reality.
As you have heard, this morning's subject is awakened imagination. It is my theme for the entire series of 19 lectures. Everything is geared towards the awakening of the imagination. I doubt if there is any subject on which clear thinking is more rare than the imagination. The word itself is made to serve all kinds of ideas, many of them directly opposed to one another. But here this morning, I hope to convince you that this is the redeeming power in man. This is the power spoken of in the Bible as the second man, the Lord from heaven. This is the same power personified for us as a man called Christ Jesus. In the ancient text, it was called Jacob, and there are numberless names in the Bible, all leading up and culminating in the grand flower called Christ Jesus. It may startle you to identify the central figure of the Gospels as human imagination, but I am quite sure, before the series is over, you will be convinced that this is what the ancients intended that we should know, but man has misread the Gospels as history and biography and cosmology, and so completely has gone asleep as to the power within himself. Now this morning, I have brought you the means by which this mighty power in us may be awakened. I call it the art of revision. I take my day and I review it in my mind's eye. I start with the first incident in the morning. I go through the day. When I come to any scene in my unfolding day that displeased me, or if it didn't displease me, if it was not as perfect as I thought it could have been, I stop right there and I revise it. I rewrite it, and after I have rewritten it, so that it conforms to the ideal I wished I had experienced. Then I experience that in my imagination as though I had experienced it in the flesh. I do it over and over until it takes on the tone of reality, and experience convinces me that that moment that I have revised and relived will not recede into my past. It will advance into my future to confront me as I have revised it. If I do not revise it, these moments, because they never recede, and they always advance, will advance to confront me, perpetuating that strange, unlovely incident. But if I refuse to allow the sun to descend upon my wrath, so that at the end of a day I never accept as final the facts of the day, no matter how factual they are, I never accept them. And revising it, I repeal the day and bring about corresponding changes in my outer world. Now, not only will this art of revision accomplish my every objective, but as I begin to revise the day, it fulfills its great purpose, and its great purpose is to awaken in me the being that men call Christ Jesus, that I call my wonderful human imagination. And when it awakens, it is the eye of God, and it turns inward into the world of thought. And there I see that what formerly I believed to exist on the outside really exists within myself. No matter what it is, I then discover that the whole of creation is rooted in me and ends in me as I am rooted in and end in God. And from that moment on, I find my real purpose in life, and my real purpose is simply to do the will of Him that sent me. And the will of Him that sent me is this, that of all that He has given me, I shall lose nothing but raise it up again. And what did He give me? He gave me every experience in my life. He gave me you. Every man, woman, and child that I meet is a gift to me from my Father, but they fell in me because of my attitude towards society, because of my attitude towards myself. When I begin to awaken and the eye opens and I see the whole is myself made visible, I then must fulfill my real purpose, which is the will of him that sent me. And the will is to raise up those that I allowed in my ignorance when I slept to descend within me. Then starts the real art of revision, to be the man, regardless of your impressions of that man, regardless of the facts of the case that are all staring you in the face. It is your duty when you become awakened to lift him up within yourself, and you will discover that he was never the cause of your displeasure. When you look at him and you are displeased, look within, and you will find the source of the displeasure. It did not originate there. Now let me give you a case history to illustrate this point. I know a few of you were at the banquet, and maybe a few of you heard me last Thursday on TV. But I doubt in this audience of, say, 23 or 2,400 of us, that more than, say, 150 heard it. And even if you heard it, you can hear it time and time again, for it is this: that if you hear it will cause you to act upon it. Because as I told you, and I think I did last Sunday, but if I didn't, let me tell you now, if you attended the entire 19 and you became saturated with all that I have to tell you, so that you had all the knowledge you think it takes to achieve your objectives, and you did not apply what you received, it would avail you nothing. But a little knowledge which you carry out in action, you will find to be far more profitable than much knowledge which you neglect to carry out in action. So by repeating this case history this morning, though say 100 or 200 of you have heard it, it will help you to remember you must do something about it. This past May in New York City, there sat a lady who had been coming for years, and I made a simple observation that people must become doers of the word and not mere hearers only. For if a man only hears it and never applies what he hears, he will never really prove or disprove what he has heard. And then I told the story of a lady who had only heard me 3 or 4 times, and how she transformed the life of another. And this lady hearing what one who came only 3 times, and this miracle took place in her life, she went home determined that she would really apply what she had heard over the years. And this is what she did. 2 years before, after a violent quarrel, she was ordered out of her son's home by her daughter-in-law. Her son said, "Mother, you need no proof from me that I love you. It's obvious. I think I have proven that every day of my life. But if that is Mary's decision, and I regret it, it must be my decision. For I love Mary, and we live in the same house, and it is our house. It is our little family. And I am sorry she feels this way about it. But you know these little things that culminate in an explosion, as took place today. If that is her decision, it is mine." That was 2 years ago. She went home, and she realized that night after night for over 2 years, she had allowed the sun to descend upon her wrath. She thought of this wonderful family that she loved and felt herself ostracized from it, expelled from the home of her son. She did nothing about revising it, and yet I had been talking revision to my New York audience for the past year. This is what she did now. She knew the morning's mail brought nothing. This was a Wednesday night. There had been no correspondence in 2 years. She had sent her grandson at least a dozen gifts in the 2 years. Not one was ever acknowledged. She knew they had been received, for she had insured many of them. So she sat down that night and mentally wrote herself 2 letters, one from her daughter-in-law, expressing a great kindness for her, saying that she had been missed in the home and asking her when she was coming to see them. Then she wrote one from her grandson, in which he said, "Grandmother, I love you." Then came a little expression of thanks for the last birthday present, which was in April. And then came a feeling of sadness, rather because he hadn't seen her, and begging her to come and see him soon. These 2 short notes she memorized, and then, as she was about to sleep, she took her imaginary hands and held these letters and she read them mentally to herself until they woke in her the feeling of joy because she had heard from her family that she was wanted once more. She read these letters over and over, feeling the joy that was hers because she had received them, and fell asleep in her project. For 7 nights this lady read these 2 letters. On the morning of the 8th day, she received the letter. On the inside, there were 2 letters, one from her grandson and one from her daughter-in-law. These letters were identical with the letters she had mentally written to herself 7 days before. Where was the estrangement? Where was the conflict? Where was the source of the displeasure that was like a running sore over 2 years? When man's eye is opened, he realizes all that he beholds. Though it appears without, it is within one's own imagination, of which this world of mortality is but a shadow. She gave me permission to tell that story. When I told it, and we came to the period of questions and answers, there was a strange reaction from that crowd. They wondered what joy life would hold for any of us, if we had to write our own letters, if we had to do everything to ourselves that seemingly is done in joy, that seemingly is spontaneous coming from another. But I don't want to write myself a love letter from my wife, or my sweetheart, or my friend. I want that one to feel this way towards me, and to express it unknown to me, that I may receive a surprise in life. Well, I am not denying that sleeping man firmly believes that is the way things happen. When a man awakes, he realizes that everything he encounters is a part of himself, and what he does not now comprehend, he knows, because the eye is opened, that it is related by affinity to some as yet unrealized force in his own being, that he wrote it, but he has forgotten it, that he slapped himself in the face, but he has forgotten it, that within himself he started the entire unfolding drama, and he looks out upon a world, and it seems strange to him, because most of us in our sleep are totally unaware of what we are doing from within ourselves. What that lady did, every man and woman in this audience today can do. It will not take you years to prove it. What I tell you now may startle you. It may seem to be bordering on insanity, for the insane believe in the reality of subjective states, and the sane man only believes in what the senses will allow, what they will dictate. And I'm going to tell you, when you begin to awake, you assert the supremacy of imagination, and you put all things in subjection to it. You never again bow before the dictates of facts and accept life on the basis of the world without. To you, truth is not confined by facts, but by the intensity of your imagination. So here we find the embodiment of truth, which I say is human imagination standing in the world drama before the embodiment of reason personified as Pontius Pilate. And he is given the authority to question truth, and they ask him, "What is the truth?" And truth remains silent. He refuses to justify any action of his. He refuses to justify anything that was done to him. For he knows no man cometh unto me, save I call him. No man takes away my life, I lay it down myself. You didn't choose me, I have chosen you. For here is truth, seeing nothing hereafter in pure objectivity, but seeing everything subjectively related to himself, and he the source of all the actions that take place within his world. So truth remains absolutely silent, and says nothing when reason questions him concerning the true definition of truth. Because when the eye opens, it knows that what is an idea to sleeping man is a fact to the awakened imagination, an objective fact, not an idea. I entertain the idea of a friend, and I make some wonderful concept of him in my mind's eye, and when I sleep, it seems to be a wish. It seems to be the longing of my heart, but purely subjective, just an idea. And the eye within me opens, and he stands before me embodying the quality that I desired in my sleep to see him express. So what is an idea to sleeping man? The unawakened imagination is an objective reality to awakened imagination. Now, this exercise calls for, I would say, the active, voluntary use of imagination as against the passive, involuntary acceptance of appearances. We never accept as true and as final anything unless it conforms to the ideal we desire to embody within our world. And we do exactly what the grandmother did. But now we start it, and we do it daily. You may get your results tomorrow. It may come the day after. It may come in a week. But I assure you they will come. You do not need some strange laboratory, like our scientists, to prove or disprove this theory. Here in 1905, a young man startled the scientific world with his equation that no one could even test. It is said not 6 men lived who could understand his equation. It was 14 years later before Lord Rutherford could devise the means to test that equation, and he found that it was true, not 100%, because he did not have the means at his hand to really give it a complete test. It was another 14 years before further tests could be made, and you know the results of that equation that Einstein gave us in 1905. For today, man, not knowing the power of his own imagination, stands startled at the results of that unlocking of energy. But he was the man who said, and I put it in the first page of my new book, imagination is more important than knowledge. That was Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge. For if man accepts as final the facts that evidence bears witness to, he will never exercise this God-given means of redemption, which is his imagination. Now, I'm going to ask you to test this. You will not take the 3 weeks that I am here to prove it or disprove it, but the knowledge of it cannot prove itself. Only the application of that knowledge can prove it or disprove it. I know from experience you cannot disprove it. Take an objective, take a job, take some conversation with your boss, take an increase in salary. You say, well, the job doesn't allow it, or maybe the union will not allow it. I don't care what doesn't allow it. Yesterday morning's mail brought me one, where in San Francisco, this captain, a pilot, and he writes me that I saw him backstage after one of my meetings. And there he said, "But Neville, you are up against a stone wall. I am a trained pilot. I have gone all over the world, all over the 7 seas. I'm a good pilot and I love the sea. Not a thing in this world I want to do but go to sea. Yet they restrict me to certain waters because of seniority. No matter what argument I give them, the union is adamant, and they have closed the book on my request." I said, "I don't care what they have done. You are transferring the power that rightfully belongs to God, which is your own imagination, to the shadow you cast upon the screen of space. So, here we are in this room. Need it remain a room? Can't you use your imagination to call this a bridge? This is now a bridge, and I am a guest on the bridge of your ship. And you are not in waters restricted by the union. You are in waters that you desire to sail your ship. Now close your eyes and feel the rhythm of the ocean, and feel with me and commune with me and tell me of your joy in first proving this principle. And secondly, in being at sea, where you want to be. He is now in Vancouver on a ship bringing a load of lumber down to Panama. He has a complete list that will take him through the year what this man has to do. He is going into waters legitimately that the union said he could not go. This doesn't dispense with unions, but it does not put anyone in our place. No one, kings, queens, presidents, generals, we take no one and enthrone him and put him beyond the power that rightfully belongs to God. So, I will not violate the law, but things will open that I will never devise. I will sit in the silence, and within myself I will revise the picture. I will hear the very man who told me, no, and that's final, and hear him tell me yes, and a door opens. I don't have to go and pull strings or pull any wires whatsoever. I call upon this wonderful power within myself, which man has forgotten completely because he personified it and called it another man, even though it is a glorious picture of a man, but that is not the man. The real man is not in some other world. When religion speaks, if it's a real religion, it speaks not of another world. It speaks of another man that is latent but unborn in every man that has attunement with another world of meaning. So that man sat and he tuned in with another world of meaning and brought into being a power that he allowed to go to sleep because he read the laws of man too well. He accepted as final the dictate of facts, for they read him the bylaws, they read him the laws of the Union. And here today he is flying the ocean as he wants to do it. The grandmother is no longer locked out from the home she loved, but she is in communion. But she was locked out by herself for 2 years, and he was locked out by himself for well over 18 months, and burning up day after day, allowing the sun to descend upon his wrath when he had the power within himself and the key to unlock every door in the world. I say to each and every one of you, I wouldn't take from you your outer comfort, your religion, for all these things are like toys for sleeping man, but I come to awaken within you that which when it awakes, it sees an entirely different world. It sees a world that no man when he sleeps could ever see, and then he starts to raise within himself every being that God gave him. And may I tell you, God gave you every man that walks the face of the earth. He also gave it for this purpose, that nothing is to be discarded. Everyone in the world must be redeemed, and your individual life is the process by which this redemption is brought to pass. So we don't discard because the thing is unpleasant, we revise it. Revising it, we repeal it, and as we repeal it, it projects itself on the screen of space bearing witness to the power within us, which is our wonderful human imagination. And I say human advisedly. Some would have me say the word divine. The very word itself means nothing to man. He has pushed it off from himself completely and divorced himself from the thing that he now bows before and calls by other names. I say human imagination. As Blake said, rivers, mountains, cities, villages, all are human. When the eye opens, you see them in your own bosom. In your own wonderful bosom, they all exist. They are rooted there. Don't let them fall and remain fallen. Lift them up, for the will of my Father is this, that of all that he has given me. I should lose nothing, but raise it up again. And I raise it up every time I revise my concept of another and make him conform to the ideal image I myself would like to express in this world. When I do unto him what I would love the world to do unto me, and see in me, I am lifting him up. And may I tell you what happens to that man when he does it? First of all, he is already turned around within himself. He no longer sees the world in pure objectivity, but the whole world subjectively related to himself, and hang it upon himself. As he lifts it up, do you know he blooms within himself? When this eye of mine was first opened, I beheld man as the prophet saw him. I saw him as a tree walking. Some were only like little antlers of a stag. Others were majestic in their foliage, and all that were really awake were in full bloom. These are the trees in the garden of God. As told us in the old ancient way of revision in the 61st chapter of the book of Isaiah, go and give beauty for ashes. Go and give joy for mourning. Give the spirit of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they may become trees of righteousness, plantings to the glory of God. That is what every man must do. That's revision. I see ash when the business is gone. You can't redeem it. You can't lift it up. Conditions are bad, and the thing has turned to ash. Put beauty in its place. See customers, healthy in finances, healthy in the attitude towards you, healthy in every sense of the word. See them loving to shop with you if you are a shopkeeper. If you are a factory worker, don't see anything laying you off. Lift it up. Put beauty in the place of ash, for that would be ash if you were laid off with a family to feed. If someone is mourning, put joy in the place of mourning. If someone is heavy of spirit, put the spirit of praise in place of the spirit of heaviness. And as you do this and revise the day, you turn around. And turning around, you turn up. And all the energies that went down when you were sound asleep and really blind now turn up. and you become a tree of righteousness, a planting to the glory of God. For I have seen them walking this wonderful earth, which is really the garden. We have shut ourselves out by our concept of self, and we have turned down. As told us in the book of Daniel, we were once this glorious tree, and it was felled to the very base. And what formerly sheltered the nations, and fed the nations, and comforted the bird, and gave some comfort to the animals from the sun of the day, of the heat of the day. And suddenly some voice said from within, "Let it lie. Let it remain as it is, but do not disturb the roots. I will water it with the dew of heaven. And as I water it with the dew of heaven, it will once more grow again. But this time it will consciously grow. It will know what it really is and who it is. In its past, it was majestic, but it had no conscious knowledge of its majesty. And I felled it. That was the descent of man. And now he will once more spring from within himself, and he will be a tree walking, a glorious, wonderful tree. Now, to those who are sound asleep, this may seem to you too startling. This may be just as startling as Einstein's equation was. That was startling too. But I tell you, I've seen it and I see it. Men are destined to be trees in the garden of God. They are planted on earth for a purpose, and they don't always remain men. They are transformed as they turn in and turn up. This is the true meaning of the transfiguration. There is a complete metamorphosis taking place like the grub into the butterfly. You don't remain what you appear to be when man is asleep, and there is no more glorious picture in the world than to see this living, animated human being. For every branch within him is represented by an extension of himself called another. And when he lifts the other up, that branch not only comes into leaf age, but it blossoms, and the living human blossoms that blossom upon the tree of man who awakens. So that's my message for you this year. I'll give it to you to stir into being that which sleeps in you. For the Son of God sleeps in man, and the only purpose of being is to awaken him. So it is not to awaken this, nice as it appears to be, but this man of sense is only a casing. It is called the first man. But the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. So that which comes into being, second, like Jacob coming second from his mother's womb. He takes precedence over his brother Esau, who came first. Esau was the one like this. He was made of skin and hair, and Jacob was made a smooth-skinned lad. But that one that comes second suddenly becomes the Lord of all the nations, and that one sleeps in every man born of woman. And it is the duty of a teacher or a true religion to awaken that man, not to talk of another world, not to make promises to be fulfilled beyond the grave, but to tell him as he awakens now. He is in heaven, and the kingdom is come now, this day, on earth. For as he awakens, he revises his day, and he repeals his day, and projects a more beautiful picture onto the screen of space.